In a recent video, we walked through what 10 years of home ownership in Henderson County has done to your equity position. If you bought in 2013 for around 220,000, you're likely sitting on somewhere between 230 to $250,000 in gains and walking away from a sale with roughly 400,000 in net proceeds after cost. That is transformative amount of money, but here's the question most sellers never fully answer before they make their decision. What does that $400,000 actually buy you? What does the next chapter look like in real specific terms? Today, we're going to answer that with real scenarios, real numbers, and the kind of honest picture that helps you decide whether now is the right time to make your moves.
We're Ryan and Suzanne McAbee with the Live Play WNC team. Our peak home selling system is built around one thing most agents skip, making sure you actually understand the numbers before you make any decisions.
Homeowners in Henderson County are sitting on real significant equity, in many cases more than they realize, and they're not moving forward because the financial picture feels a little unclear. And today we're going to make it very clear. So let's walk through that math together.
So let's establish our starting point by picking up where we left off in a previous video, which is a seller who bought their Henderson County home in 2013 for $220,000. Based on current market data, their home is worth approximately $440,000 to maybe $465,000 today. So after agent commission, closing costs, attorney fees, taxes, and a modest mortgage payoff, we walk through every line item in detail in video 7. They're walking away from the closing table with approximately $390,000 to $410,000 in net proceeds. Let's call it $400,000 as our working number to make the math easier.
So $400,000, no mortgage on whatever comes next if they choose, or a very substantial down payment if they want to preserve some liquidity. That is the financial foundation we're building scenarios around today. And we want to show you specifically what that foundation enables, because for a lot of Henderson County homeowners, the answer is more than they've let themselves really imagine.
The number one reason sellers sell, according to the National Association of Realtors 2025 data, is the desire to be closer to friends and family. 26% of all sellers, the single highest ranked motivation. And in a community like Henderson County, where many residents relocated here from somewhere else, this resonates deeply. The grandchildren are in Charlotte, the aging parents are in Raleigh, the kids settled in Nashville or Atlanta, and at some point, the pull of proximity outweighs the pull of the mountains.
So let's look at what $400,000 in equity buys in the markets where Henderson County sellers most commonly land when they move closer to family.
So let's go to Charlotte first, the most common destination for Henderson County sellers relocating within North Carolina. The median home price in the Charlotte metro area in 2026 is running around $380,000 to $400,000, depending on the suburb. A seller arriving with $400,000 in proceeds can buy a comparable or larger home in many Charlotte suburbs, like Huntersville, Mooresville, Waxhaw, Mint Hill, outright or maybe with a very small mortgage. They're not downgrading. In many cases, they're buying more house than they left in a location closer to wherever their family has settled.
Raleigh tells a similar story with slightly higher price points in the most desirable suburbs in particular. The triangle median is closer to $420,000 to $450,000 depending on the specific area. Cary, Apex, Holly Springs, they tend to run even higher, while areas like Garner, Clayton, and Johnson County offer more value. A $400,000 equity position doesn't buy everything in Raleigh outright, but it buys a very substantial down payment that keeps monthly carrying costs manageable even at current mortgage rates.
And for sellers whose family has landed further afield, like Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, the picture is even more favorable. Knoxville, Greenville, South Carolina, and many parts of the Atlanta suburbs offer median prices in the $300,000 to $380,000 range, where $400,000 in equity can go a very long way. And depending on your financial mix, the taxes may also be more favorable. We've had sellers leave Henderson County with their equity and buy their next home outright with money left over.
That's not a financial downgrade. That's financial freedom enabled by a decade of smart home ownership in the right market at the right time.
Now, let's look at a scenario where the seller loves Henderson County and has no desire to leave, but their current home no longer fits their lifestyle. The kids are grown, the 4-bedroom house with the big yard feels like it's maintaining them rather than the other way around. So they want to stay in the community they love, but at a home that fits this next chapter.
This is the retirement lifestyle scenario, and $400,000 in equity opens up options in Henderson County that most sellers in this position don't fully appreciate or maybe aren't even aware of.
And that's the condo and townhome market in Henderson County. It has been one of the most active segments of 2025 and into 2026. Sales in that category rose 42% year over year in early 25. New developments like Acoustic Crossing, which is 56 single-level, 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes starting in the 350s, are specifically designed for exactly this buyer. So a seller with $400,000 in proceeds can buy into a development like that outright. No mortgage, no yard to maintain, single-level living, lock and leave when they want to travel. A community of people at a similar stage of life. There are similarly priced options in other neighborhoods like the Oaks and Wolf Pen. Just remember to factor in HOA costs in these scenarios.
The math on that scenario is remarkable when you lay it out. Someone who has been paying a mortgage, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance on a $440,000 home For years, suddenly has no mortgage payment, lower taxes on a less expensive property, lower insurance on a small home, and dramatically reduced maintenance costs. The monthly cash flow improvement alone could be in the $1,500 to maybe $2,500 range, depending on your current situation. That money funds travel, experiences, time with the family and friends, the things that actually matter at this stage of your life.
And we've had this exact conversation with clients who came in thinking they were downsizing and walked out realizing they were upgrading. Not necessarily the size of the home, but the quality of their daily life. That reframe changes everything about how that decision feels.
There is a third scenario worth naming that we see more often than you might expect. The seller who wants to do both, spend part of the year closer to family and part of the year in Western North Carolina.
And with $400,000 in equity, that's actually achievable in ways that might surprise you. A seller who leaves Henderson County, buys a smaller home near family in Charlotte or Raleigh for 3 to 3 and uses the remaining $50,000 to $100,000 as a liquidity cushion has fundamentally changed their financial plan. They're mortgage free or close to it. They're near their grandchildren, and Henderson County is a 4-hour drive away, close enough for regular visits, extended stays with friends, or a week at a vacation rental every fall when the leaves are turning.
Some of those sellers eventually decide to come back, and having preserved liquidity from their equity sale gives them the option to do just that. Others settle into their new location and realize the pull of the mountains is satisfied by visits rather than by outright ownership. Either way, the equity position enabled the flexibility to kind of figure that out and go down your own path.
Now, we want to pause here and say something that goes a little beyond the numbers. Every scenario we've walked through today is built on one foundation: a decade or more of owning the right home in the right market. Now gives them genuine choices about what comes next.
The question we ask sellers who come to us still on the fence about this is, what would you do differently with your life if the housing price wasn't a constraint? If you knew exactly what you'd walk away with and you could see clearly what that enables, would you still be waiting?
For a lot of sellers, the honest answer to that question is no. They'd move sooner. They'd get closer to the people they love sooner. They'd stop maintaining more house than they need sooner, and the equity that has been there for years. Sometimes what's missing is just someone laying out clearly what it actually buys.
Here's what we want you to take away from this. $400,000 in net proceeds is a realistic figure for a Henderson County homeowner who bought in 2013, buys a home outright in many of the markets you may now be drawn toward. It buys a maintenance-free, single-level home in Henderson County with no mortgage and dramatically lower monthly cost. And it buys the flexibility to structure the next chapter around what actually matters rather than around what a house requires of you.
So if you've been sitting on your equity wondering whether the timing is right, the more useful question might be whether the life you want is waiting on the other side of this decision. And that's a conversation worth having.
The link below takes you to our consultation calendar. We'll walk you through the specific equity position, your likely net proceeds, and what that number realistically enables for you. No pressure, and you'll walk away with a clear picture either way. So let's get you on the path to sold.